10 things you didn't know about the ocean. Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Sephora Moses and I welcome you to Ink and Tales. Please consider subscribing to my channel. I would love to have you around. Now, let's dive right into the ocean. 1. The sun gives it that blue tint. One of the most indelible features of the oceans is the deep blue waters that are continually shining, rolling, and coming in waves. The color is the result of the sun's red and orange wavelengths being absorbed by the surface and its blue wave lengths penetrating deeper, giving way to a blue tint. And because those wavelengths can travel further down, the ocean will tend to appear more blue the lower you go. Why isn't water in a glass blue when you're sitting outdoors? There aren't enough mercury to absorb the light. 2. There are 20 million tons of untouchable gold in the oceans. If you're hoping to find a fortune in gold prospecting, don't expect the ocean to cooperate. You may be able to plunder a shipwreck, but you won't be able to collect much of the 20 million tons of gold estimated to exist in the waters. That is because it is so diluted. 20 million tons of gold dispersed throughout the oceans is diluted. Its concentration is only a few parts per trillion. According to the National Ocean Service, the ocean floor also has undissolved gold embedded in it. 3. The Pacific Ocean is wider than the moon. At its widest point, from Indonesia all the way to Colombia, the Pacific Ocean is wider than the moon by quite a lot. This expanse of ocean is 12,300 miles across, which is more than 5 times the diameter of the moon. 4. Lakes and rivers lie beneath the surface. Some surfaces in the ocean feature sites that don't seem to make any logical sense. Rivers and lakes, some of them miles long, can stretch across the ground even though they are submerged. How can a body of water exist in a body of water? Water from under the sea floor seeps up and dissolves salt layers, forming depressions, because the water in the depression is more dense than the water all around it. It settles into the depression and forms a distant pool. The ocean is like an entirely separate world. There are trenches, mountains, volcanoes, and lakes and rivers. These are a lot like the lakes we know. They have shorelines, and some of them even have waves. 5. There are 3 million shipwrecks in the ocean. It's impossible to offer an accurate estimate of how many shipwrecks and accompanying treasures are lurking in the oceans, but a few people have made an honest effort of it. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, thinks 1 million sunken ships lurk in the dark. Others pegs the total value of the unrecovered treasures at $16 billion. So why don't we hear more stories of water and grave robbery? Because governments or private parties are likely to make a legal claim to those funds, making an expensive expedition for treasure a gamble at best. From the Titanic to Christopher Columbus' Santa Maria, the oceans are home to around 3 million shipwrecks, according to the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization. Also, the oceans are full of treasure. Experts predict that there are more historical artifacts on the seafloor than in all of the world's museums combined, worth of different historical treasures. 6. We are trying to make the ocean drinkable. As most everyone knows, drinking salt water is perilous at best and deadly at worst. In a process called desalination, that salt is removed, leaving fresh water, but building facilities and the energy required to process water this way has traditionally been more expensive than sourcing water from potable sources. But sea ice is drinkable. You can't drink sea water, but you can drink sea ice. However, you don't want to drink fresh sea ice, which still has little pockets of brine trapped in between ice crystals. As the ice ages, the brine drains out and the ice becomes fresh enough that, according to the NSIDC, it can be melted and consumed. 7. Seashells don't actually sound like the ocean. Seashells have long been perceived as the iPods of the sea. Tiny little devices that can mimic the static hissing noise of the waters. What they are actually doing is acting as a resonator or a cavity that allows sounds to vibrate by holding up the shell to your ear. You're hearing the ambient noise around you amplified. All that whooshing air typically sounds a lot like the movement of cascading waves. 8. The biggest ocean waves are beneath its surface. The biggest ocean waves are not the ones that you can see from the shoreline. As physical oceanographer Kim Martini told Deep Sea News, the largest waves that occur in the ocean are called internal waves, which take place between two fluids with two different densities. As these internal waves travel for thousands of miles, no less, they can grow to be 650 feet tall. 9. There is an internet connection in the ocean. For the past few decades, according to Newsweek, submarine cables buried deep within the oceans have carried more than 99% of intercontinental data traffic, meaning that overseas communication is made possible by ocean-based cable. 10. The ocean is home to nearly 95% of all life. With so much going on, on the surface, it's easy to forget that the oceans are teeming with life. In fact, 94% of life is aquatic. According to the USA Science and Engineering Festival, that means those of us who live on land are part of a very, very, very small minority. These are 10 facts about the oceans that you didn't know.